Fake watches are such a massive issue within the watch world. What the shit is this? No. What is that? Not just for the consumers, the customers, the buyers, enthusiasts. I guess not necessarily enthusiasts, but also for the brands as well. It's getting harder and harder for brands to protect or combat fake watches because what the factories are doing now is simply copying a design and then just creating up any old name and throwing that on the dial. It's illegal to sell fake products in the UK, but it's not illegal to sell rip-off products. Consumers are obviously getting subpar products. Brands are obviously putting a lot of money into developing the products and then losing out on a sale. Now, when you think about Rolex or Omega losing out on a sale, it's hard to really give a shit. They're massive, they've got loads of money, they will be okay. But when you're talking about small brands, micro brands, it really has a genuine impact. And I'm sure it can be pretty disheartening. Unless you're rich from Studio Underdog.
Last summer, while scouring the depths of the internet, I stumbled across something rather unexpected. Despite our youth, we'd been copied. Homaged. And it turns out, these guys weren't the only ones at it. Justice would be served by an Uno reverse. I pitched the idea of copying the copycats and the Studio Underdog community loved it.
When Rich was first made aware that there are fake watches or copycat watches of his Studio Underdog designs, he started to take note and look into what these fake factories are doing. Some of the watches are just straight up terrible. They've clearly taken inspiration from Studio Underdog, but clearly don't really understand what the names of functions within the watch actually mean. For example, we have a watch that says tachymeter on the back, but on the front there's no tachymeter. Equally, there's a watch that has a tachymeter, but no chronograph hand. So these things just don't make sense, and a lot of them are just terribly built. Now, a lot of these are just homage watches. They've taken inspiration or a loose inspiration from what Studio Underdog are doing. But there was one factory that was just straight up copying the Studio Underdog design. And that's when Rich really started to take notice. They started off with a watermelon, Studio Underdog's arguably most recognizable design. But then he saw that they launched a watch called the Avocado color. He saw this back in January 2024. His initial thought was, should we lawyer up and go after these guys? Obviously, that immediately was just canned, because if Rolex and Omega can't stop these fake watches being made, then Studio Underdog, a micro brand, has no hope in hell in taking on these fake factories. So instead of taking legal action, Rich quite liked the idea of turning the tables on the fake factories. If they're going to make money off his design, then why doesn't he make money off one of their designs? He spent a year playing around with the colors of the Avocado watch. At a first glance, these colors don't really work. However, the food concept is certainly there with the avocado, a colorful dial. And so Rich spent the past 12 months pulling together a Studio Underdog Avocado. One of the big differences between Studio Underdog and these fake homage watches, homage in a very loose sense, Studio Underdog actually knows how to make a watch. They've partnered up with Horology in the UK, and these guys know how to put a watch together, unlike the plums who don't even know what the words on the dial mean. This is the Studio Underdog 01 series Avocado. And we all know that avocado perfectly leads into guacamole. The specs on these watches are exactly the same as the other 01 series watches. We have a stainless steel case which is 38.5 millimeters wide, 12.9 millimeters thick, including the sapphire crystal. Without the sapphire crystal, they are 10.1 millimeters thick. They're 44.5 millimeters lug to lug, and the lugs themselves are 20 millimeters wide, which is perfect if you want to team this up with a nice colorful one-piece nylon strap from barkandjack.com. Coming back to the crystal, we have a double domed sapphire crystal on the top and a flat sapphire crystal display case back on the back. And then the watch has 50 meters of water resistance. We have a matte satin sandblasted base dial, and then on top we have this gloss, very coarse texture dial. The chronograph seconds over at 3 o'clock is segmented into 3 different shades, and then the running seconds is over at 9 o'clock, which has a snailed subdial. And then of course this actually has a tachymeter around the edge on the base dial. The movement side is a bespoke seagull movement. This is the ST1901B. It's a manual wind column wheel chronograph movement with an added swan neck regulator. The accuracy is -10 to +15 seconds a day, and it beats at 21,600 vibrations per hour. The power reserve is 50 hours without the chronograph running. If the chronograph is running, then the power reserve is around 45 hours. Now for the price. In the UK, this is going to cost £550. These watches are unlimited edition, but they do have a very small order window for you to grab one. It's going to go live on the 8th of May at 3 p.m. through to 12 a.m. This is UK time at studiounderdog.com. That is under D0G.com. The first 800 orders will be shipped this year in May, and then the further orders will be shipped after April. Now, I love this move from Studio Underdog. It legitimately turns the tables on the factories that make money from other companies putting in the hard work, putting in time and effort into designing a product, trying to do something fun and trying to do something creative, and then someone else kind of takes credit or profits from that idea. It's kind of annoying. Side by side with these two avocados, you can quite clearly see the sloppiness of the homage or the rip-off version. The colours don't really blend together. There isn't this kind of journey through the colours. On the Studio Underdog, they just work together. You then have the different textures on the dial, which adds to the refinement of the design, and then it's the case itself. There's just a lot more thought going into the case, into the little elements of high polishing, different textures within the case, the sandblasted case back, the brushed edges of the case, and then the high polished bezel and chamfered edge. Not to mention the much nicer strap made by the strap tailor, and then the movement inside is a significantly higher grade movement with better finishing, and then of course that swan neck regulator. The swan neck regulator allows for much more precise adjustment of the balance wheel. So what do you guys think of the new Studio Underdogs? We have the Avocado and we have the Guacamole. And I want to know your thoughts on Studio Underdog turning the tables on these rip-off factories. Drop a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button. If you like the style of this video, then hit the subscribe button down there and that little bell icon so you get notifications when I drop a new video. If you're on Instagram, give me a follow at Bark and Jack. If you want to check out our straps and watch accessories, jump over to barkandjack.com and check out what we have over there. I'll see you guys soon. I probably should have changed to the real mug. You can get those over at barkandjack.com as well. This one's massive.